let's go ahead and start your tonight's homework, which is 6-7 worksheet 1. Now, the directions say find the inverse of each relation and graph the given relation and its inverse. So, how do I find the inverse? The inverse is going to be simply swapping x and y. So my y values now become my x, and then my x values become my y. And that is done, and all you would have to do is graph them, and from there you should be good to go. Okay? Next, number 3, it says find the inverse of each function. Is the inverse a function? So I'm going to replace f of x with y. I know that this is y equals mx plus b. And I know that that looks like this. So yes, it passes the vertical and the horizontal line test, so I can go ahead and find it. So I'm going to swap out x and y. And I'm going to subtract 3. I'm going to divide by -1 to give me negative x plus 3 is equal to f inverse of x. Now, is this a function? Well, sure, because it absolutely is just in another mx plus b, so therefore, yes, it is a function. Okay? Next. Same thing. Now, this is like the last example that I did in your notes. Okay? This right here is going to be a quadratic, so it's going to look like a U. Okay? Now, we want to go ahead and restrict the domain because it does not, it passes the vertical, but it does not pass the horizontal. So therefore, no inverse exists unless you restrict the domain. So we're going to restrict the domain by taking x plus 4 and making that greater than or equal to 0. So x is greater than or equal to -4. That is the domain that I'm going to be on. Okay? So I'm going to swap x and y. And I'm going to add the 4 over. Then I'm going to take the square root. I do not want the plus and minus because I only want one arm of this thing. And then I'm going to simply subtract 4 from both sides. And this gives you your inverse function. Now, the question was, is this a function? Well, it's going to look like this right here. And yes, it passes the vertical and the horizontal line test, so yes, it is a function. Okay? Number 11, find the inverse of each function by restricting the domain if necessary. This is mx plus b. I do not have to restrict the domain on this, so I'm going to simply swap x and y and solve for y. Multiply by 3, subtract the 3, 3x minus 3 is equal, nope, I just subtracted the wrong thing, sorry. Over there. Subtract the 3 to give me a y, so my inverse is going to be 3x minus 3. Okay? Next, it says f of x is equal to 2x plus 5. Find each value. Now, remember, I said whenever we did the composition before, that what happens is these cancel out, and it is just 3 every time. You don't even have to do any work, because we know that they are obviously inverses. Now, if I want you to do it work, this is the work you would show. You would say, okay, this is y. Then you would swap x and y, and you would solve for y. So I have x minus 5 over 2 is equal to y. That's the inverse. Now, if I wanted to show you the composition, then I would do f of f inverse of x. So f inverse is going to be x minus 5 over 2. So I'm going to take 2x plus 5, and I'm going to plug that in. The 2's cancel out. The 5's cancel out, so you're just going to get x. Okay? Now, we already knew that, but what it asked for was f of f inverse of 3. Come on. So if I plug in a 3 here, 3 minus 5 is -3, is -2, over 2. which gives you -1. So then you're going to go ahead and take -1, and for the f function, so that's 2 times -1 plus 5. That's -2 plus 5, which gives you 3. So all of this was not necessary. You could have gone straight to here. Okay? And I think that that is it. It is. So I am done.